유하, 유하. 안녕하세요. 제가 오늘 왜 녹화를 하냐면요. 오늘 해볼 게임은 더 스탠리 패러블 울트라 듀럭스라는 게임입니다. 한번 해보도록 하겠습니다. 예. 로딩 중.
This
디럭스,
is the story
디럭스.
of a man named Stanley.
소리 커.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day, every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
에? 아, 지금부터 나야? 뭡니까?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
메모? 아, 미팅룸에 가서 메모를 해보라고. 근데 뭔가 감도가 약간 빠른 것 같다. 이래서 감도가 있었나? 이 정도. 미팅룸이 어디야? 그냥 열리는 대로 가면 되겠지? 근데 공포 게임은 아닌 것 같네.
Open doors, he entered the door on his left.
왼쪽 문으로 들어갔다고? 오른쪽은 가보면 안 돼요? 궁금한데? 한번 보고 와도 되겠지? 보고 오면 되잖아. 문이 왜 닫히지? 닫히네? 아니, 궁금한데. 아, 나 무서워. 없지? 오케이.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour
시원한
after
음료.
all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
응?
이거 공포 게임인가요? 왜 무서워하시지?
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself,
문 열어주세요!
nothing will hurt me. Nothing will
뭐야?
hurt me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed. Then days. Had years gone by? He
나
no
몇
longer
년
had
동안
the
여기에
ability to
갇혀
tell.
있는 거야?
But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would
이거
arrive.
회사 나쁜 회사네.
Very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer.
뭐가 가까워져?
Here it comes.
뭔데?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
처음부터
Stanley
다시
decided to go to
시작하는데?
the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
이번에는 딴 길로 안 세고 제대로 가야지.
When Stanley came to a set of two open
아니
doors,
그냥
he
구경만 하러
entered the
나
door
안
on his
들어가고 문 밖에서 쳐다만 본 건데 바로 끝났어. 뭐야?
left. Yet there was not
안녕하세요.
a single person here either.
해고당하지 않는
In a wave
꿀팁.
of disbelief,
말 적게
Stanley
하기.
decided to
승진이나
go up to
인정받을
his
기대는
boss's
하지 말고
office,
믿을 수 없을
hoping he
만큼
might find an answer there.
동료와의 분쟁을 해결하는 방법. 속으로 욕하고 다니기. 다른 동료에게 소극적으로 공격성 드러내기. 더는 뭐야? 아니 개웃기네. 사람들이 원하는 건 뭐지? 물건들, 돈, 더 많은 돈, 물건을 살 수 있는 돈, 물건에 관한 그래프와 돈. 아니 자본주의 역시. 근데
Coming
약간
to a
버벅이는 게
staircase, Stanley
있는데
walked upstairs to his boss's office.
약간 버벅여서 그래픽 조금만 낮춥시다. 이거 품질을 좀 낮추면 되는 건가? 됐다. 됐나? 무서워. 누구세요? 끽. 부자가 되는 건 범죄인가? 범죄를 저지르는 건 부자 아닌가? 하나만 고를 수 있는 삶이면 얼마나 좋은지. 약간의 렉이 있어서 인터넷 좀 닫겠습니다. 렉 걸리네요. 당장 닫고 월페이퍼 엔진 끄고 월페이퍼 엔진을 켜놔서 그런가? 근데 이거 다른 문 닫혀있는 부분 딱히 안 열어봐도 되는 건가? 그냥 열려있는 데만 가면 돼? 이러면? 일단은 이거 컴퓨터가 지금 힘든가 봐요. 여긴 열리네 또? 팬더가 귀여우니까 팬더로. 안 다치네? 뭐지? 무섭다. 뭔데? 됐나? 뭐지? 에? 잠깐만. 나 무서워. 사장 어딨어?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845.
2845,
But of
2845.
course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
나 알아.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random
이런-
buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to
네.
input the correct code
이-
by sheer luck.
나
Easing, he stepped into the newly opened passageway.
뭔 회사에 이런 데가? 이거 아니 나 무서워. 잠깐만. 나 무서워. 공부 게임 아니겠지? 아이씨. 길이 없는데? 여긴가? 아닌 것 같아. 여기는 아닙니다. 목미. 목미. 뭐 하는 게임 이거?
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself,
목미.
to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
바닥 이런 거 신경 안 써도 되는
Stanley
거야?
walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that but of course, Stanley thought better of it. And nope, still on board with death.
나레이션 낚시하는 거겠지?
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
낚시.
At this point,
낚시인 것
Stanley was
같아.
making a conscious, concerted effort to walk
이거
forward
지금 일부러
and
낚시야.
willingly confront his
일부러 저렇게
death.
말해가지고 회유하려고. 색깔이 왜 빨갛냐? 아니 근데 탈출구 맞을 듯? 맞겠지? 아니야.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise,
아니 뭐 회사에
it
이런 데가
reflected that his
있어.
life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he
뭐지?
resigned and
아니,
willingly
잠깐만.
accepted this violent
나
end to his
호떡되는 거야?
brief and shallow
안
life.
돼!
Farewell, Stanley.
아니야 잘못했어요. 아니 나 낚시하는 줄 알았어요. 죄송해요. 아니 잠깐만요.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed
너
every bone in his
직사했다는데?
body, killing him instantly.
헐. 저 스탠리 패러블.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
뭐야?
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you
크레딧?
see now? Do you see that Stanley was already
잠깐만.
dead from the moment he hit start?
이게 뭐야? 무서워.
To end this injustice forever. Let's see. Stanley walked through the green.
아니 이거 처음으로 돌아갈 수 있다고 뜬 거 아닌가? 아무렇지 않게 다시 사무실에 앉아서 뭔가 할 수 있다고 그러던데. 모니터실 엘리베이터. 여기 있다.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
응?
Can you see? Can you see how much they need
뭐?
one another?
뭐가 보여?
Perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
뭐야?
But listen to me. You can still save those two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's
아,
no other way to beat this game.
종료하기 버튼? 눌러야 돼? 잠깐만. 아니, 왜?
Someone
왜?
else's path.
눌러.
Now and it'll be your only true choice.
뭔 소리야?
Whatever you do, choose
뭔
it.
개소리야?
Don't let time choose for you. Don't let
뭐야? 나 또 죽은 거야? 시작했다. 헤헤헤.
All of his co-workers.
이번에는 진짜 시키는 대로 해야지. 이번에는 진짜 다른데 안 가고 시키는 대로 해야겠다. 이번에는 말 잘 들어야지.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
라라라라라.
he entered the door on his left.
시키는 대로 안 하니까 죽는 거야.
Yet there was not
라라라라라.
a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs
화장실로
to
가는
his
계단을
boss's office.
올라가줘요. 올라왔어요. 히. 좋았어. 화장실 구경 한번 쓱 해주고. 그 다음에 여기였나? 여기도 문 한번 쓱 열어주고. 이거지. 비밀번호도 바로 입력하고.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley was in such a rush
바로
to get through the
비밀번호까지
story as quickly as
따버리고.
possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety
나레이터가
isn't
자기
healthy,
말
so
못했다고
he
뭐라
relaxed
그러는데?
for a few moments with
뭐냐?
some calming new age music.
노래 나온다. 아니 나 근데 이 나레이션 분이랑 좀 친하게 지내고 싶은. 이분 무서워. 나 바로
Feeling
죽이고.
soothed and rejuvenated,
나
Stanley calmly
무서워.
walked forward
진짜,
into
진짜.
the opened passageway.
오케이 이번에는 진짜 시키는 대로. 이번에는 무조건 시키는 대로 하는 거야. 반대로 가면 안 돼. 이번엔 무조건이다잉. 믿어 그냥. 난 너무 게임 불신하는 것 같아 지금. 약간 게임을 불신해. 뭔가 이상한 짓 할까봐. 오케이 됐다. 갑시다.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read
아이고.
Mind Control Facility.
자 이번엔 탈출구. 그럼 바로 지나가요. 지나가서 뭡니까?
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
휴. 근데 회사가 참 좋은 회사네. 넓고.
Now the monitors
뭐야?
jumped to life. Their true nature
해고된.
revealed. Each bore the number of
뭐야?
an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them,
헐.
eternally monitored in this
근데
place,
사람이 한 명도 없는데.
meant nothing.
와 여기서 감시하고 있었구나. 이거 어떻게 봐? 소름 돋네. 다음 뭡니까?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's
나는
control.
지금 조종당하고
Never.
있는 거
It
아니다.
was unthinkable.
나는
Wasn't
나레이터가
it?
하는 대로
Was it even
아니다. 내가
possible?
이러고 싶어서
Had he
이러는 거다.
truly spent his
아니다.
entire life utterly
절대 내가 몇 번
blind to
죽어서
the
이러는 게
world?
아니야.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with
정신집의
emotions.
상태 오프라인?
Happy or sad or content.
오,
Walking,
대박.
eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And
뭐지?
as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
오호. 오호.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. This is the story.
오호. 정신집의 비가동 중 명령어 대기 중. 위험. 오프해야 되는 거 아니야? 정신집에 당하면 안 되잖아. 오프! 왜요?
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty.
뭔가요?
Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine.
나 또 죽었어?
Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away.
자유가 얼마 남지 않았대.
Even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected
나
on how
탈출한
many
거야?
puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers
에,
gone?
에,
How had he been freed from the machine's grasp?
하늘이
What
보여.
other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or
나가자.
even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives,
해피
it
엔딩인가?
will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps
헐.
the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
문이 열려 나가죠.
Stanley felt the cool
오.
breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation.
근데 이게
the
진짜
immense
엔딩일 리
possibility of
없잖아.
a new path.
이거 분량이 이렇게 짧다고?
This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
아, 눈뽕. 도전과제 달성했다고 뜨는데 엔딩 여러 개를 보는 건가? 아니
All of his
근데
coworkers
이거
were gone. What could it mean?
처음부터 다시 해야 되네
Stanley decided to
이러면?
go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
무조건 시키는 대로 하고 정신지배 당해야 되나 봐. 아니, 정신지배를 안
When
당하면
Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he
아까
entered
이거
the door on his left.
나레이터 시키는 대로 해야 되나?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of
해가지고?
disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs
사장한테
to his boss's office.
사장님한테 가야겠다. 바로 가야지.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey,
바로
look, it's a new
해주네.
passageway. Kill surprise.
친절하구만.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door. that
왼쪽은
read
쳐다도 안
Mind
봐야지.
Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
야,
What horrible secret did
야,
this place
다리,
hold?
다리
Stanley
주세요.
thought to himself.
올라온다.
Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant.
근데 왜 사람이 한 명도 없지? 나만 사람이야? 무서워 여기. 나 진짜 정신지배당해서 묵은노예 하고 있는 거 아니었어?
It was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control.
올라가서 무조건 정신지배 당하기 눌러야겠다.
Was it even possible?
무조건
Had he
올려.
truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
야,
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold
진짜 나
reality of his
로봇인가?
past began to sink in,
나
Stanley
기계일지
decided
몰라.
that this machinery would never again
또 일단
exert its
누릅니다.
terrible power.
무섭지만.
Oh, Stanley. You didn't just activate the control.
했어요.
After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control
몇
of the
년 동안 날
machine for yourself.
유린했대.
Is that what you wanted?
아니 원하지 않는데. 잠깐만. 아니 뭐 어쩌라는 거야? 오픈 누르면 끝나는데. 야,
But you need to understand,
Yeah.
there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't
살려주세요.
have nearly the power you think you do. For
무서워.
example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then?
폭발한다는데?
Let's say 2 minutes.
2분?
Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires.
내
Oh, this is much better
가슴이
than what I had in
시키는
mind.
대로
What a shame we
해보라고?
have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each
아,
one of them is.
뭐 어떻게 해야 돼?
Time to talk about you, about me, where we're going,
야.
what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated?
응?
All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you
아니.
free. Of course, that was merely in this
그렇지.
instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever,
아니,
pushing
뭐야?
buttons endlessly and then dying alone.
야,
Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it
아니 잠깐만.
I have to say this, though. This version of events has been rather amusing.
뭐 어쩌라고?
Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away
야.
from you, it's quite rich. I
야.
almost hate to see it
야.
go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left.
아니,
But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with
아니,
it. I'm going to
저,
put
저,
some
저,
extra
저.
time on the clock.
자,
Why not?
안 됐어요.
These are
잠시만요.
precious additional
아니.
seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
왜 불을 지야?
Oh dear me. what's the
뭔데
matter, Stanley?
이게?
Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it on?
배터리.
I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room.
What?
These numbered buttons. No,
도망가도 돼?
these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or
네,
this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me.
잠깐만.
Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten?
아니 도망가야 되는 걸 수도 있어. 저거 함정이야.
Have any idea what your
여기 있다.
purpose in this place is?
이건가?
Stanley,
이건가?
you're in for
아닌데?
quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler
잠깐만.
for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still
죽음까지.
playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment.
자동
of your
안정
powers.
장치.
To see you
자동
made
안정 장치.
it.
파란색.
Challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going
아니,
to destroy it
아,
first.
안녕히 직원 번호 427. 아니 잠깐만요. 아니
That's 30 seconds you have left.
잠깐만.
30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing.
누가 이게 뭐야?
Just
어?
you being blown to pieces.
2
Will you cling desperately to
1, 2.
real life?
어?
Or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make
아니야.
it count.
1, 2, 3, 3, 3번
It's all
어디
the
있어?
same to me. All
3번.
part of the joke.
하나님 너무
I will be laughing at every second of your
야.
inevitable life from the moment you fade in
갈래요?
until the moment
아니 여기 아닌데? 잠깐만. 아! 뭔데 이게? 아 아저씨 뭡니까? 아이고 또 처음부터 해야 돼? 아
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's
위층의
office.
사장실로
Stanley
향했습니다.
walked upstairs to his boss's
화장실로 가는
office.
계단을 올라갔습니다.
Here's the door, just go.
네, 그냥 갑니다. 가고요. 여기서 내려가고요. 네. 합니다. 여기서 나와가지고
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control
거대한 문을
Facility.
지나갑니다. 여기는 스킵 안 해주냐? 아이씨.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this
아니
place
나
hold?
아니 왜 시간을 정해놓고 포즈를 하는 거야? 진짜 숨막히게. 더 한대 더 시간 정해놓으니까.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed.
내 거
Each
어딨냐?
bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom.
427 직원 번호. 나 저기 있다. 나의 방위로구나. 다음 칸으로. 이제 엘베 타러 가야지.
It was too horrible to believe it couldn't be
Horrible.
true. Had Stanley
Horrible.
really been under someone's control all
Horrible.
this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
문을 열어주세요.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of
다시
the
여기서부터.
operation.
오케이.
Controls labeled with emotions. Happy. or
이걸
sad,
먼저 누르면 안
or
되는
content.
거겠지?
Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And
아니
as the
근데 이거
cold reality of his
정신집에
past
온
began to
누르는
sink
건
in,
맞는 거
Stanley
맞겠지?
decided that this
오프하면 바로
machinery would
탈출이니까?
never again exert its
그거
terror.
맞겠지?
Oh, Stanley.
네 맞아요.
Just
작동시켰어요.
activate
빠이.
the controls, did you? After they kept
자.
you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is
예,
that what
예.
you wanted?
잠깐만.
Control?
아니야,
Stanley,
집에 당하기 싫어.
I applaud your effort, I really do.
3.
But you need to understand. there's
잠깐만,
only
일이
so
어딨어?
much that machine can do. You were
자.
supposed to let it go. Turn the
1.
controls off and
2.
leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I
3.
believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system.
4
In the
여기였는데?
event that this machine is activated
4.
without proper DNA
사.
identification, nuclear
열어줘요.
detonations are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Say 2 minutes.
또. 잠깐만. 열어줘.
More fun, isn't it,
자.
Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's
그다음에?
your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much
4.
better than what I had in mind. What a
그리고?
shame we have so little time left to
그리고?
enjoy it. Mere
오,
moments
어딨어? 오,
until
아까
the bomb
봤는데?
goes off. But
오,
what
어디
precious
있었지?
moments
아, 저기
each
있다.
one of them is.
오.
More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means.
오.
I barely know where to start.
이건 뭐야?
What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are?
6도 있나
A
설마?
moment of solace before you're obliterated. All right, I'm gonna go.
아니, 뭐 하라는 거야, 이
I'll tell you
양반.
exactly what happened to them. I erased them.
불일치.
I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the
노란색.
story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone.
4번 눌렀어.
Other times, I let the office sink into the ground,
아니,
swallowing
뭔데?
everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this,
아니.
though, this version of events has
3번.
been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take
에?
back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go around will be even
핑크색이
better.
뭐야?
My goodness, only 34
아, 또
seconds left. But I'm
33초밖에 안
enjoying this so
남았대.
much. You know what?
아니,
To hell
뭔데
with it. I'm
이게?
going to put some extra time on the
이씨,
clock right now.
사이코패스.
These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen
아니,
to screen,
이게
clicking
뭐야.
on every little
나
thing in this
머리
room. These numbered buttons. No, these
저는
colored
이 회사에
buttons. Only
다니지
this big
못할
red
인재인가 봐요.
button.
여기
This
너무
door. Everything,
여기
anything,
너무
something
턱걸이가
here will save
높네.
you. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
아, 아니 잠깐만 이게 뭐 하는 건데? 이거 왜 이렇게 많아?
How many
여기는 또
times will you
번호가.
replay this bit,
여긴
looking
아니고.
desperately for a
여긴데?
solution?
여기는 왜
10,
또?
100, 1,000? I
왜?
look forward to finding out and to watching the
파란색이야,
bomb
여기는?
go off each time you fail.
파란색 아닌데?
Just you and me in a retching
초록색.
explosion of fire and metal
노란색.
over and over and over for all of eternity. And Stanley died again. And Stanley died again.
아니 이게 뭐야?
And
아
Stanley
선생님 잠시만요.
Take a look at the clock.
아니
Stanley.
아니.
That's 30 seconds you have left.
잠깐만.
30 seconds until a
아이씨.
no ending.
야.
Just you being blown to pieces. Will you
아니
take
뭐
this
안녕히
for
뭐 하지 말고 뭐 알려주던가.
another choice?
불친절한 나레이터.
Don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke.
콘솔 살
Believe me,
보조 전력을 활성화를 가동할 수 있고 보조 전력 보조 전력. 언니 또 죽었어. 아니 몇 번 죽는 거야 지금. 이게 뭐야. 다시 해야 돼 처음부터. 오, 이거 뭐지? 다시야.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
동료들이
Stanley
사라졌군요.
decided to go to the meeting room.
아.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
이 거지 같은.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
몰라. 나 네 말 안 들어. 말 들어도 죽는데 내 맘대로
But
다닐 거야.
Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left
똑바로
his
가도
post during
죽이잖아.
work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because
왜
he believed
뺑뺑이 돌고 있지?
everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe.
근데 이런 게임을 하면 되게 스포하시는 분들이 많네, 습관적으로.
All of my coworkers blinking mysteriously out of existence
나 왜
in a
뺑뺑이
single
돌지?
moment for no reason at all. None of it made any
뭐야?
logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when
이제
he looked
스포
down?
두시는 분들은 다
Why
이제
did
밴을
doors
할 거예요.
close
다음엔
automatically
연구밴이
behind him
연구밴.
wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to
나 이거
himself.
어떻게
This is
나가?
all too
나
strange.
이거
This can't be
저
real.
이거 어떻게
At
나가요?
last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming!
뭐야?
This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone.
차가 상호작용이
He
되는데
wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go
차가
back to
상호작용이
my
됐는데
job
안
pushing
열려.
buttons. I may
뭐지?
as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined
이제
himself
그냥
flying
상어를
and began to
부드럽게.
gently float above the ground.
나는 꿈을 꾸고
Then
있네.
he imagined himself
나
soaring
하늘을
through
뜬 거 같은데
space on a
지금?
magical star field.
나 하늘을
And it
떴어.
appeared
아닌가?
it was so much fun.
아,
And Stanley
아닌가 봐.
marveled
아니
that he was
잠깐.
still not
아, 나
waking
진짜
up.
헷갈리네.
How
아니,
was he remaining so lucid?
방금
And
하늘을
then
뜬 거
perhaps the
같은데?
strangest question of them all
너 지금 하늘을 뜬 거 아닌가?
entered his head.
아닌가 봐.
One he was amazed he hadn't
아,
asked
아닌가
himself
보다.
sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all
나 게임에
over, he
갇혀버렸다.
wondered if this voice spoke
큰일
to
났다.
all
이거
of their
어떡하지?
dreams.
잠깐만.
The truth was that, of course, this was not a dream.
언제까지 놀아야 돼요?
Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is
와, 이거 죽는 거보다 고통스러울 것 같은데?
in his life.
계속 똑같은
Now,
다리만
hearing
뺑뺑이
the voice
돌아야
speak
된다고
these
하면?
words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars
헐.
just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too, surely.
시원한
if he could
음료
just...
이것도 안 되네.
He would prove it.
비상구.
He would prove that he was in control.
나갈 수
that this
있는
was
데가
a
있나?
dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to
커피에
wake up.
미치다.
He felt
점점
two weights
점점
of
눈이
blanket on his
감겨.
stomach, the press
와우.
of the mattress on his back, the fresh air
드디어
of the world outside
드디어
this
꿈에서
room.
깨는 건가?
Let me wake up.
와, 이거 근데 힘들다 하긴.
I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job.
나 이제 깨게
Let me
해줘. 난
continue
이거 너무
pushing the
고통인 것
buttons.
같아. 차라리
Please.
죽는 게 낫다 이
It's
정도면.
all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be
모든 게
fine.
괜찮아질 거야.
I am okay.
난 괜찮아. 눈 떴다.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I
아니
must be
미친
real.
이거
I must
뭔데
be.
이
Can
게임?
anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
나 무서워.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to
이게 난가?
and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for
뭐지, 내
the day.
썸녀인가?
The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body.
119 신고 안 해줘요?
And then she turned and ran.
119 신고 안 해주네. 해놓고 그냥 간 거야, 쳐다보다가?
He was sure of it.
회사가 먼저야? 사람이 먼저지?
It was only a matter of time.
저러고 가는 거야, 지금.
Stanley came to a set of
근데
doors
이젠
and doors.
진짜로 나레이터 말만 들을게요. 다른 데 가니까 정신 나갈 것 같네. 진짜 나레이터 형님 말만 들어야겠다. 다른 데 가면 안 되겠다. 진짜 이번은 꼭 말 잘 들을게요. 근데 아까 퀴즈 어떻게 풀지 거기? 어려운데. 문을 열어라. 오. 오, 아니 나 근데 이거 퀴즈 어떡하지? 여기 가도 못 깰 것 같은데. 아, 잠깐.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind
여기는
Control
아니고.
Facility.
이 게임 상당히 키키의 정신세계 같아.
가서
The
난
lights rose on an
정상이야.
enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did
아
this
이거
place
훈수 좀
hold?
들어야 되나
Stanley
여기?
thought to himself. Did he have the
참.
strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The
빨리
lives
와라.
of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them,
저기 내
eternally
거다.
monitored in this place
저기.
where freedom meant nothing.
427 갑니다. 여기서 뭐 가져가야 되고 이런 건 아니겠지? 여기에 힌트가 있을 리가 없잖아. 여기에 힌트는 없을 거 아니야. 이 많은 거에서 힌트를 주지는 않았겠지. 그럼 진짜 양아치지 그거는. 게임 제작자 양아치네. 몰라.
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was
Never.
unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The
가가지고
heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions.
잠깐 이거 미리 보고
Or
가자.
sad, or content, walking,
아니
eating,
이게 뭘까?
working, all of it monitored and commanded
여기서
from his
다른
brain.
데로 도망갈 수 있나?
And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never
미치겠네.
again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would
다시
dismantle the
정신집에 당하러
controls
갈게요.
once and for all.
다시 정신집에 당해버려. 오 몰라.
Stanley, you didn't just activate the
아는
control.
척도 시켰어요. 몰라요. 아저씨 이거 뭐 어떻게 하는 거예요? 예, 아저씨 미친 거야? 어떻게 하는 건데?
Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave.
그걸 그냥 내버려두고 조종기를 끄고 떠났어야 했어요. 당신이 생각하는 것만큼 당신에게 힘이 없다는 걸. 아니 끄고 떠날 수가 없다니까.
Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system.
미치겠네.
That this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine.
3.
You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires.
아니잖아.
This is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you,
오?
about me,
오?
where we're going. What all this
저거
means,
누르면 되는
I
건가?
barely know where to start.
이게 뭐지?
What's that?
아닌데?
You'd like to know where your co-workers are?
아 진짜 여기 도저히 모르겠는데 여기 도대체 뭐냐?
All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground,
아니.
swallowing everyone
뭔데?
inside, or I let it burn to a
빨간색.
crisp.
아니.
I have to say this though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the
아니.
control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go.
아이
I'm sure whatever I come up with
잠시만.
on the next go around will
잠시만.
be even
저 이게
better.
뭘까요?
My goodness.
아니,
only
이게
34
뭐지?
seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much.
1.
You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some
아니.
extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious
아니
additional
아저씨.
seconds. Time doesn't grow
잠깐만.
on trees. Oh dear me, what's the
아니
matter,
뭐야
Stanley?
이게?
Is it that you have no idea
파란-
where you're going or
파란색.
what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off?
아이씨.
I mean, look at you. Running from
아니.
button to button, screen to screen, clicking
야.
on every little thing in this room.
야.
These numbered
일.
buttons. No,
몇 분?
these colored
아이씨,
ones.
1분.
Or maybe this big red button.
아니.
Or this door. Everything, anything. Something
파란-
here will
파란색.
save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
나 죽어.
But you really believe there's an answer?
아니.
How many
아저씨.
times will you replay this bit, looking
아니.
desperately for a solution?
야.
10, 100, 1,000?
야.
I
잠깐.
look forward to finding out and to watching the bomb go off each time you fail. Just you
아니.
and me, retching explosion of fire
누르-
and
아니,
over
뭐냐?
and over and over for all of
누르고?
eternity. And
아닌데?
Stanley died
아니.
again.
누르고.
And Stanley
누르-
died again.
뭐? 왜?
And Stanley died
나또
again.
죽어? 잠깐만.
Take a look at the clock,
아이씨.
Stanley. That's 30 seconds. you
아니
have
이게
left to
뭘?
struggle.
나
30 seconds until a big bang and then nothing.
처음부터 다시 해야 돼. 이거 그만해. 저기 어디까지 해야 돼? 모르겠다고요.
Make it
아니.
count or don't. It's
뭐야
all the
이게?
same. All a part of the joke. And believe me,
아니.
I will be laughing at every
아
second of
진짜.
this inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I
아니 이게 뭐야? 또 죽었네?
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was
아,
it a sign of something?
다시
He hoped it
처음부터.
was. He hoped very much that it was.
다시 처음부터 다시. 예이.
When Stanley came to
오야우.
a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door.
오야우. 이번엔 저기서만
Yet there
혼수
was
좀
not a single person here
허용할까요?
either.
이거
Feeling
답이
a wave of
없거든요.
disbelief, Stanley decided to go
진짜
after his boss's
이거
office.
제가
Coming to
하면
his
절대
staircase,
못할 것
Stanley walked
같은데.
upstairs to his boss's office.
저거 아는 사람이 아무도
Here's
없다고?
the door, just go.
저거를? 아는 사람 훈수 가능 저기서만. 저거 아는 사람이 없으려나? 하하하. 큰일 났다. 와,
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that
아는데
read Mind
까먹은.
Control Facility.
구라치지 마. 빨리 알려줘. 잠깐만.
The lights rose on an
구라치지 마.
enormous
꿈이야
room
그거.
packed with
거짓말이야.
television screens.
잠시만.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
아, 정답이 없어요? 그럼 내가 이상한 게 아니네? 그러면 저기서 어떻게 나가요? 아니, 나가야지 될 거 아니야?
To life.
어떻게 나가 저기서?
Each
잠깐만.
bore the number of an employee in the building.
설마
Stanley
죽는 게
counted
엔딩은
the
아닐 거
lives of so
아니야?
many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley,
아,
eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
아니 벤유도가 아니고 내가 물어봤잖아. 이거는 내가 물어봤어.
This
아,
mind
저기가
control
길이 아닌
facility,
거야?
it was
아,
too horrible
그런
to
거지?
believe couldn't be
진짜
true.
저거 말도 안 되는
Stanley
퀴즈야.
was
저거
under
진짜로
someone's
어떻게
control all this
풀으라고.
time. Was this the
저거
only
진짜
reason he was
알파고가
happy
와도
with
못해
his boring job?
저거는.
That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
근데 이미 다른 데 가기 늦은 거 아닌가? 나 이미 와버렸는데.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it.
네, 기계
His own
껐는데
life
그
in
탈출
someone
엔딩
else's
봤는데.
control?
기계
Never.
끄고.
It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible?
잠시만
Had he
잠시만.
truly
아니 근데
spent
일단은
his
가봅시다.
entire life utterly
근데 중간에
blind to
다른
the
길 다
world?
가봤는데 나? 여기서 길을 다른 데로 가야 되나?
But here was the proof, the heart of the operation.
여기 길 다른 데가
Controls
있나?
labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating,
뭐 있지? 다른
working,
게?
all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human
잠시만.
life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
나 이거 하면 또 어차피 죽어야 되는데? 잠깐만. 게임 다시 시작하기. 다시 해보자. 내가 안 가본 데가 있나? 가서.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started.
밖에서 부드러운
And if
바람이
it did,
불어.
it stopped
아,
shortly
나
after.
진짜 내가 퀴즈 못 푸는 건 줄 알았잖아. 그냥 그게 원래 그런 거구나. 소름 돋을 뻔했네. 아. 오케이, 저 방 다 봤고 내가 아까 이 방을 어디까지 봤었지? 이 방 들어가긴 했었는데.
And Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge
가가지고?
first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes. This
시원한
room.
음료.
What a beautiful room.
봤잖아 아까
What a
여기.
gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank
연-
goodness Stanley had
연료.
taken this detour.
커피가
But eager to
연료야?
get back to business, Stanley took the
아,
first open door on his left.
맞아. 나 저기서 저거 정면방 갔다 죽었구나.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
원래 길 아니지. 여기 가면 안 되지. 여기 가야지. 저기 갔었잖아. 여기 가야지. 이 정도는 할 줄 안다고.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He
오케이
wanted to
오케이. 나
wander
이제
about
그러면
and
난
get
훈수가
even
필요 없는 거야.
further.
오케이.
So now in order to get
예.
back, he needed to go
어딥니까?
from here it's left.
왼쪽? 네.
Oh no, it's to the right. My mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep. Okay. Yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
오케이. No, 아닌 것 같은데, 여기? 익숙한데? 잠깐만. 아닌 것 같은데? 아니, 저기라고? 그럴 리 없잖아. 방금 갔다 왔는데?
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick,
스포일러.
Stanley, close your eyes.
네, 눈 감아요.
Okay. We just have to get back to
네.
Who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole
망했대.
story completely unusable.
아, 진짜?
Rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off
안
track.
하면 나 다 갔다 왔는데.
From the top.
에? 왜 처음부터 다시 해? 아이씨.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley
저기가
decided to go to
아닌가?
the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
저기가 아닌. 문이 다 닫혀 있는데?
When Stanley... Wait, what?
뭐지?
No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
잠깐만, 이 정만의 두 개를 제외하고 나머지로 코카콜 여긴 어차피 못 가지? 코카콜라 맛있다 맛있으면 또 먹어
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again. But it's got to be better than this.
네.
Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
뭐야? 문 뚫려 있었잖아. 나 왜 죽었냐?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
왜 처음부터 다시 하는?
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
삐리비리비리비리비. 안 열려요. 내가 뭘 놓쳤지?
Aha! I knew we'd missed
어?
something.
아니야, 여기 내 사무실이었는데?
Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
바뀌었어.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid
내가
off. So,
이겼다는데?
good job. Oh no, I don't feel right about this
근데
at
뭔가
all.
개운하지가
We both
않네.
know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
뭐지?
All right, I've got a solution.
어?
This time, to make sure we don't get lost,
어드벤처
I've employed the
라인.
help of the Stanley Parable
아,
Adventure
가이드.
Line. Just follow the line. How simple is
이제부터는
that?
가이드를 해주나봐요. 내비게이션 나왔다. 내비게이션. 이거 그대로 따라가면 되겠지?
The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction.
예.
Onward, Stanley, to destiny.
전진.
Here's a thought. Wouldn't
전진.
wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize.
아니 왜 이렇게
Not sure where
그려놨냐?
I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
헷갈리게. 아 진짜 하지 마세요. 깜짝 놀랐네. 잠깐만. 소리 좀만 줄여야겠다.
Cut the music. Go back and look at that fern. Wait,
네.
we're back at the office? No.
길이 어디요?
Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable,
길이.
right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
여긴 안 되고. 여긴가? 어?
Oh, no, not again.
젠장.
How could you have done this to us?
너 아까
After
거기로
we
왔네.
trusted you. After everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
쉣.
You know what,
Huh?
Stanley? I say forget the adventure line.
왜
What's it
문을
about for us? We're
닫으세요?
intelligent
아저씨
people,
저
right?
가고
Why can't we
싶어요.
make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious.
불가사연.
This all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
이쪽이 어딥니까? 뭔데? 아, 오른쪽?
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you
뺑뺑
want our
돌고
story to
있는데?
be? Go wild. Use your imagination.
와,
Whatever it might be,
어지러워.
Stanley, I'm ready for it.
근데 진짜 나 아직 시작도 안 한 것 같은데 아까랑 똑같은 시작점인데 계속 이거 엔딩 볼 수 있는 거 맞겠지?
Awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it. We should be fine.
네, 신경 안 쓸게요, 아저씨. 그냥 갈게요. 신경 안 쓰고. 오케이, 신경 쓰지 말고. 그냥 가.
Ah, a
좋았어.
choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in
Okay.
our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere. Which means
반대구나.
that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here.
아, 어지러워.
And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
혼란 엔딩이라는데? 그럼 나 왼쪽으로 가야 되는 거 아니야? 저거 보이는데 혼란 엔딩이라고? 잠깐만. 플레이하라고 시도하지만 되지. 넌 뭐지? 다음 시간 동안 혼란 엔딩 플레이 중. 무서워. 네네네. 아 몰라.
Oh, hold up, what's this?
뭐야 문 그냥 뚫려 있었네.
Confusion
같이.
ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times?
에?
That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it.
내가 지금까지 한 게
Do it.
여긴가?
And the timer stopped. Does that mean
내레이터가 이전 제시작들의 기억에 망각한대.
whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
누가 온다고요? 누가?
So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
너 기억 상실증 걸리는 거 아니지?
All of his co-workers were gone.
얘 이상해.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had
얘
simply
기억
lost his
상실증
memory.
걸렸네. 새로운 콘텐츠.
New content? What does that mean? New content.
어야. 아니 무섭다. 아니 이거 게임 왜 이렇게 무서워? 공포 게임도 아니면서 왜 이렇게 무섭게 각 잡아?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
설마 이제 게임을 시작하는 건 아니겠지?
Thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable.
진짠가? 이제 진짜 시작인 건가?
Delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
나 지금까지 프롤로그였나?
But I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
아, 내가 진짜 튜토리얼을 하고 있었구나.
The initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content. Stanley. All right. Let's see. It's the jump circle.
그냥 있는 건가 봐.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator.
재밌네. 점프만 하는 것도 나쁘지 않네. 점프 하루 종일 못 하다가 한번 풀어주니까 감질만 나네.
Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could counter 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more. Very good.
오케이.
I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
새로운 콘텐츠를
That's it?
플레이해
Oh,
주셔서
you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley?
어라?
This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm
아저씨
infuriated
화났다.
and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
게임 하자는데 저 또 시작해요? 와우.
Stanley, come over here. In the
네.
vent. I want to show you something.
뭘 보여주고 싶은 거야? 이제 진짜 새로운 콘텐츠인가 보다. 두근두근. 뭐길래?
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe
트로나
content
울트라
turned out to
딜럭스
be?
콘텐츠가
Well, it got me
얼마나
thinking
싸구려는지
about the
만족스럽지
and how much
않았는지
better the
기억하네.
Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and
와!
tucked it away here where the game's developers won't
판타지인가
find it.
봐.
Just our little secret.
오.
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all
와,
my
이뻐.
favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity.
막
Back then,
게임들
it all
비하하는데?
and over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning
Review?
triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art.
답은 간단하죠. 하지 마세요. 하지 말라는데. 근데 10점 중에 10점이야.
Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was.
올해 모두 상호작용상.
Every game
저게
ever
뭐야?
created.
저런
It was
상도
Stanley,
있어?
It was Persona 3. It was all of them. And now
뭔 상이야
it's
저게?
nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
갑니다. 여기는 안 눌린데? 괜히 조심스럽게 갔다.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game.
자기
9 out of 10.
자랑하는데?
Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
잘못된 길에 가는 것이 이만큼 잘 되고 있다는 느낌을 받은 적이 없다. 어? 내가 그랬는데 오늘 할 때 나는 거스르는 게 잘하는 건 줄 알았다? 진지 한방 안 가죠.
These were
한숨.
simpler times, Stanley.
열렸다.
But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
평가.
Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews
스팀
from
리뷰.
Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years.
여기
I can't even
악플 달려
imagine
있는
what's been
거야?
collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
비추천.
I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could
아저씨
write up a
괜찮아요.
handful of
아저씨
gags to encourage
재밌어요.
you to
말
stand
많아서
it, but the game
그렇지.
is already such a densely layered web of
다음
profound
또 이어서
philosophical insights
이쪽인가?
that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
이거는 추천인데 버려놨네.
Okay, let's see
비추천.
what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I?
에 사연교 많지. 완전 꼰대 스타일. 아저씨 재밌어. 말 많지만.
You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my
괜찮아. 다 받아들여 아저씨.
I feel
멘탈이 약하시네.
like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley parable isn't quite as sterling as I... What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanation.
그래야 내레이터가 무슨 일이 일어나는지 장황하게 설명하는 걸 맞춰줄 수 있거든요. 스킵 버튼이 있었으면 좋았을 텐데.
Well, yes.
맞아, 이건 나도 아까 했던 건데 스킵 버튼 없나? 왜 나는 스킵 안 해줘?
Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley parable. That's my motto today, and it's always
뭐지?
been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
스킵 버튼 만든대.
And
만들었네.
here it is. Go
아싸.
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy...
스킵했어. 또 했어.
Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption... Okay,
이렇게.
welcome back, Stanley. I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer.
아하.
That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45...
또 스킵해버려?
Stanley!
설명충 컷?
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours.
12시간?
You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley,
외로웠구나.
It's been a week. Or 2 weeks.
또 설명충 바로 스킵해.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again.
시간이 얼마나 흐른 거지?
I have had time to think about you and about us.
이거 계속 스킵해도 되는 걸까? 아저씨 사라졌어. 말 안 해. 어라? 아저씨? 어디가? 뭐지? 아저씨 하면 안
But they
되는...
didn't understand the
됐다.
game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point.
아저씨다.
It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed.
또 스킵해버린. 와우. 저 근데 어떻게 나가요? 이거 계속 스킵하면 안 되나봐. 나 큰일 났어. 이거 어떡해.
The
스킵만
end
하루
is
종일 해?
never the end is never the end is never the end is never the end is never
끝은
the
절대로
end is
끝나지
never
않는
the end
끝은
is
절대로
never the
끝나지
end
않는
is never
끝은
the
절대로
end
끝나지 않는.
is never
무서워. 왜 저래? 물 샌다. 여기 집샘물 샌인데? 뭐야? 천장에서 물 떨어짐. 에? 이거 나중에 이렇게 부셔지면 그때 나갈 수 있는 거 아니야? 다 부시는 건가 보다. 헉, 빛이다. 잠깐만. 절대 끝나지 않는 끝은 절대 끝나지 않는 끝은. 풀까지 자랐어요. 이게 뭐지? 도토리인가? 아닌데. 방울토마토인가? 스킵. 어라? 나 어떡해? 나 무서워. 뭐지? 이제 올 때 됐잖아요. 무서워. 이제 스킵 버튼도 부셔. 바퀴다. 와우. 드디어 이거 한 번 더 누를 수 있나? 못 누르네. 뭐지? 아니 세상 사람들이 다 먼지가 됐나봐. 뭐야? 어떡해요? 와 무섭다. 근데 이거 아무것도 없으니까. 어떡해? 뭡니까? 다시 처음으로 돌아왔어.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yes. New content. 다시 가?
Oh, good. You noticed my sign.
다시.
Yes, I have something very.
아니 이거 아까
exciting
봤는데?
to show you.
아니 또 봐? 이거? 어라? 뭐지? 이번엔 좀 로딩이 기네? 근데 아까 그대로인데? 아니 다시 봐야 되나? 진짜?
You see, Stanley,
어라?
I've been reflecting on the Stanley
아니
parable,
스킨
and about how
만들어준다며.
wildly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
와 여기 회사 개 좋네?
Isn't this far superior to a measly
이야
re-release with a
장비
few
보소.
minor
와 이거
additions?
그거잖아.
Instead, the new
아이맥.
territory will cover with a fully
이야
fledged
좋은 거 쓰네.
entirely new experience, built
와
from the
대박.
ground up. Why, there are so many
비싼 거.
possibilities.
와.
It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans
와
have
정수리
truly
뜨거운
been
물도
asking
나와?
for.
와 후속작을 맛보세요. 근데 이거는 왜 안 돼? 사실 우리 집에 정수기 없어서 모름.
It's just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
갑니다.
Now, to be clear,
와, 여기
I
회사
haven't
진짜
quite nailed down
대박이다.
what exactly the Stanley Parable
회사 왜
2
이렇게
is going
좋아?
to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around
이렇게
them.
돌아가지.
It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
이야, 회사 뭐야 여기.
Try out some of the new features.
독점. 게임을 플레이하는 플레이어 이름을 말하는 버튼. 당신의 멋진 이름을 게임에서 들으세요?
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to
뭐지?
be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind,
여기서
my first
체험해
addition to
보세요.
the game is this button which speaks the name. Sorry, I
에?
should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name.
뭐야?
Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say
아니
your
왜
name,
체험판
whatever
왜
you
만들어 놓은 거야?
Let's have you role play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to
Jim.
imagine yourself
I'm
living as
Jim.
Jim.
난
Sleeping
Jim.
and waking as Jim.
난 Jim이다.
Falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim. Seizing all of the world's possibilities
Jim.
as Jim. And as Jim, watching your dreams crumble into
나는
dust.
나는
Do you
짐.
feel it
나는
deeply?
짐.
Are you really, truly Jim right now?
난 짐.
If
야우.
so, then
미얼.
please
나는
step
짐.
forward and press the button.
버튼. 안 되는데. 난 짐이다.
어째 끼끼님 보고 짐덩어리라는 것 같아요.
난 짐. I am Jim. I'm Jim.
You see?
Yow.
What a thrill! What a rush! That was you! The button described you. Do it again. Do it again.
Do it again. Do it again. 왜 이렇게 신남?
It hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take
맞는
a break
말이야.
from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation. Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much Jim. I'm putting the Jim button away. Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
헤. Dream, 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 dream. 아, 어디로 가야 되는 거지? 여기는 왜 끊겨 있대? 문 열렸다. 다시 뒤로 나가서
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2.
잠시만.
That would actually save me the work of finishing this
어?
feature.
내가 아까 어디로 왔지? 여기 원래 이렇게 큰 사람이 있었나? 출구 끝없는 구멍 끝나지 않아요. 이게 뭐야? 잠깐만. 저거 원래 있었나? 출구. 방금 문 열자마자 나왔으니까 문 열자마자 나온 곳에 있던 문으로 들어가는 게 맞겠지? 아니 문이 왜 이렇게 많아? 스크린샷 금지. 아닌데? 독점 짐이라고 말하는 버튼. 짐이에요. 이쪽인가?
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
야? 끝없는 구멍 한 번쯤은 해봐야 되나? 이게 끝없는 구멍은 뭐하러 들어가는 거지? 깊이 무한대 개무섭다 진짜.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right.
뭐 무한한 추락? 오!
You can fall until the end
나
of
키
time
크는
if
꿈
you
꾸는
want.
중.
A stunning leap forward for video games is you see, isn't it wonderful?
키 크는 꿈
One of
꾸는
my
중?
more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so.
아니 근데 이거
Since you've
그냥
gotten to
반복하는
see
거지
the
않나?
infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
아,
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do
Ah.
recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top.
아.
Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum.
점점 작아지긴 하네 구멍이. 점점 작아지네.
Okay, Stanley. I don't know quite how to
Eh?
say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole?
아 구멍이 완전 무한대는 또
It's an
아니야?
extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a...
뭐야?
Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the
뭐야
hole.
구멍
You found me out,
끝
Stanley.
있었네.
I'm a liar and a cheat and you're so
맞아 이
clever.
사기꾼.
Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall?
그니까
I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem.
뭐야?
Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call
무한에
the hole
가까운
a
구멍.
mystery?
진짜 약 잘
That
팔겠네.
works for you? Then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
나 올라가야 되는 게 맞는 걸까? 올라가야
Great.
되겠지.
Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
이쪽이네 이번엔. 이거 탈출구로 나가야 되는 거야 이거. 이거 다 이거 사기야 사기. 탈출구로 나가야지. 탈출구 어디지? 점프 가능한 옷. 새로운 콘텐츠. 야,
Stanley, I
야,
actually think the jump circle was
이거는
a
뭔데?
I'd like
아,
to
이거
come on to
귀찮아.
the sequel.
탈출구 어딨어요, 아저씨? 탈출구 어딘가에 있었는데. 안심을 주는 양동이. 짐이라고 말하는 버튼. 출구 여기 있다. 나 갈래? 출구구구구. 이제 스토리 진행을 좀 해야겠어. 나 도망칠
Oh
거야.
goodness, Stanley,
왜요?
this is very awkward. I hate to do this, but before you leave, you really
네.
should go to both the exhibits for the bucket and the
양동이.
collectibles. You see, there's a surprise I was going to spring on you later, and it involves both of them. And I really do hate to break the illusion, but it's important that you go see the collectibles and the bucket.
수진
Okay?
요소는 뭐야?
All right, I'll get out of your hair now.
일단 양동이.
A common complaint of the Stanley parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well,
양동이가
I'm happy to
없는데요.
say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart.
내가 점점 차분해진다는데
The many
약파네.
disparaging contradictions of the Stanley parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
네. 헤헤헤헤. 왜 웃어?
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in
느껴지나요?
the face of crushing despair, must already
안
be sweeping through
느껴지는데.
your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they?
나는 이거 진짜 약
All
파는 거
this and
같아.
more awaits you in the Stanley parable too.
갖고 갈게요. 공짜인가?
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game?
그 다음에
That really should be an award if it isn't already.
하나 뭐 해야 된다는데? 아닌가? 지금 도망칠 수 있나? 여기 아니야. 나 도망칠래. 아,
와 게임 이가 이런 컨텐츠면 정말 하고 싶지 않아요.
난 이미 사기 당했어. 공짜 도전 과제.
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement.
오, 도전 과제를
You'll come
그냥
to this
주는
lever, and when you
개쩌는.
pull it, the achievement will be given to you. Okay, perhaps I should
Oh.
have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still
그럼
fully
뭐야?
present
왜
and will
얘기했어?
withstand Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans
좀만 더
all
세게
over the
당기면
world
될 것
who will be
같은데?
uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
뭐 하는데? 당겨주세요. 했는데? 아, 양동이 진짜 이거 애물단지네. 이거 뭐야? 안 되나봐. 갈게요. 이젠 진짜 탈출인가?
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
딱히 없죠? 웬만한 거 다 봤는데 여기 전시관이었구나. 전시관인지 몰랐지 뭐야. 탈출? 바로 도망가.
No? You're just going to ignore my advice?
네?
Fine. No fun new content for you then. You're the one who spent money on this game.
네? 돈 제가 썼어요. 거의 3만 원을 내고 샀죠, 이
So,
게임.
Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how
점프하기
exactly
기능과
these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work.
맞아요.
There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say,
이미 난
let's do an
해버렸어.
experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
이제 진짜 시즌 2야? 오. 도전 과제 해주는 거랑 점프하기, 무한에 가까운 구멍과 양동이.
Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement.
습.
Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
약팔이 경험이
Who am I
3만 원
kidding,
좋네요. 와.
Stanley?
이게 뭐지?
This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course.
저거 나잖아.
With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction,
Yeah.
This is the Stanley Parable 2.
이게 바로 스탠리 패러블 2다. 뭐 할 수 있어요?
Go ahead.
재밌는 거면 산다. 오! 바로 시켜주는 건가? 와! 신기해. 진짜 바로 2네?
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
스킵 아까 봤던 거니까. 와!
All of his co-workers
이제
were
시즌
gone.
2인가봐요. 드디어
Stanley
시작한다.
decided to go to the meeting room.
대박!
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley felt the bucket calling to him,
새로운
begging him to pick it
콘텐츠.
up. Why was
아니,
he not doing it?
나 여기 봤잖아, 근데. 나 여기 봤는데? 아.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
앵동이다, 앵동이. 앵동띠. 여기를 가는 게 아닌가? 나 여기 또 가는 거야? 또 봐? 하루 종일 봐, 그냥? 앵동이랑 같이 또 가는 거 탈출 시켜준다더니 탈출 어떻게 해?
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
스탠리 패러블 2 아까 봤는데 이게 어떻게 된 걸까?
To a measly re-release with a few minor additions. Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a
아까
fully
했는데
fledged sequel, an entirely new
이게
experience
뭐지?
built from the ground up. Why there are so many possibilities? It could go in so many
내가
different
끝났는데
directions.
계속 하고 있는
This is
건가?
what fans
꿈을
have
꾸는
truly
것
been
같네.
asking for. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been
뭐지?
developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts,
아니 여기가 아닌가 봐. 잠깐. 앵동이 들고
already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it
앵동이.
again, Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
여기가 아니고
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest
왼쪽
and
문으로.
entered the door on his left.
네, 드디어 갔어.
Still no one was here.
누구도 찾을 수
Stanley
없어.
needed the bucket's warmth
아니
and
근데
comfort
여기
now more
있었는데.
than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd coming to a staircase. Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
스테리와 앵동이는 사장실로 가는 길. 변기에서 뭐 하는 건가? 그런 건 아니겠지? 만약 사장이 손아래였다면 그건 사장이 선택한 일이고 사장은 자신이 한 말을 사장 스스로 알고 있기 때문이지. 뭡니까? 여기는 아니지. 여기 아까 갔다가 죽었으니까.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing
아닌데?
presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's but Stanley guessed the
됐다.
correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him?
앵동이가 날
This is
인도한다.
the most logical explanation.
나 지금 잘 가고 있는 거 맞겠지? 아니 뭐가 달라진 거야 앵동이 하나
The
들고.
elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket.
달라졌다.
Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
여기는 또 그대로인데. 갑자기 불이 팍!
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
이게 맞아? 이거 아까 봤잖아.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold?
뭐지?
Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
히.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped.
맞아,
monitored
우린
like guinea pigs.
기니피그였어.
The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well?
아,
Had the
이거 혹시
bucket been
정신지배
told
안
to do
당하나?
things it
앵동이
didn't
들고
wish to do?
있으면?
What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place?
어떻게 하는 거지?
These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
앵동이가 진짜 날 차분하게 만들어주는
He
건가?
couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's
그럼
control.
성능 좋은 건데.
He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
나레이터도 못 믿겠어.
But here was the proof. The heart of the
이거
operation.
아니잖아.
Controls labeled
아.
with emotions. Happy.
이거
or
죽는
sad, or
건데.
content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this
그래,
very
가자.
place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery. But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn
양동이가
on the
튀어올라
controls.
장치 전원할
Stanley
키나 버튼
gasped
눌렀대.
in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine
근데
and
이번엔
claim the power
빨갛게 안
for
변하네?
itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen.
우와!
Birds. Silly, silly birds.
실리
The control
볼.
buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all
귀여워.
over the world.
앵무새다.
The mind controls were only a facade
저거 자연에서
to
볼 수
disguise
있는
its
거였구나.
true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable.
영원히?
Of all the
아니야.
possible paths his life could have taken,
잠깐만.
this one was surely the best.
정신 나가버려.
And Stanley
아니야, 나 행복하지 않아. 아니, 이게 이런 엔딩도 있다고? 저 풀어주세요. 이게. 뭐야, 나 또 시작했어?
all of his co-workers were gone.
안 되겠다.
Stanley decided to go to
양동이.
the meeting room. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley
양동이
embraced the bucket.
들고 이번엔 오른쪽.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest.
씨발, 안
This
들어.
was not the correct way to the
몰라,
meeting room.
경가.
But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind.
그래.
The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
몰라, 그냥 여기로 가.
Said the bucket.
와,
Don't go to the meeting
처음 보는
room.
데다.
Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go good.
Said the bucket.
처음 보는
Now
곳.
ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend.
떨어지는구나. 떨어지는지 궁금해서 떨어져 봤는데 떨어지네. 다시 가야지.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain
이게
started.
떨어지네.
If it did, it stopped shortly after.
양동이와 함께라면 두렵지
With the
않아.
bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had
떨어지네.
felt the bucket calling to
나는
him,
아까
telling
그
him that
구멍도
the
계속
employee
멀쩡하게
lounge was
떨어지길래
simply the
안
place
죽는
to
줄.
be. And here it was. Had the
뭐야?
bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go
이게
back to the
진짜
meeting room.
마지막 길인가?
No.
Said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room.
다른 데로
Go
가.
somewhere else.
회의실로 가지 마.
Yeah, good.
회의실 말고 다른 데로
Now
가.
ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need
거기서
you to
네가
do.
해줬으면 하는 게 있어.
Stanley did
뭔데?
not question why or how this
가야지.
bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious
이거
fact.
행복을
He was
주는
so
앵동인가
convinced
아니고
that the bucket
말하는
had spoken
앵동이로
to him,
해야겠는데.
and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
어두운 거?
Stanley once again
여기
obeyed blindly.
맞지? 응. 무서워. 쉿.
Now pick up the
전화 받았어.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
앵동이 어디 감? 여기 있다. 안녕 스탠리, 나야. 네 앵동이. 나를 데리고 일하러 같이 가려면 H를 눌러. 네.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
다시 집으로 가?
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
출근하자마자 퇴근하네. 개쩌네.
Well, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me?
칼퇴.
Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think. It can't
나
talk.
점점 미쳐가고
All
있나
it
봐.
will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
저 시끄러운 사람 말 듣지 마. 우리를 집에 돌아가게 하려면 B를 눌러. 그래.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket.
어?
This stupid
나
hunk
진짜
of metal.
정신에 문제 생긴 건가? 싫어. 아니야, 나 너 무시할래. 너 이상해. 얘 내려놔. 다른 키는 못 누르는데? 야. 야. 이게. 야, 나 진짜. 아, 나 집착하는 앵동이 싫어. 무서워. 아니. 안 돼. 나 그럼 앞으로 다른 사람 목소리 못 듣고 네 목소리만 들어야 돼. 아니. 눌렀다.
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on,
아저씨
he's
좀
just
말이
a
많긴 해.
into this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it. Yes, I
그렇게 안
suppose
됐나
on
봐.
closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average.
철물점에서
hardware
볼
store
수 있는
bucket.
양동이와는 달라
Just a little
보이는데.
more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving
양동이가
an
아니라
amount of water
양동이잖아요,
from
이거.
one room to another.
점점 미쳐가고 있어. 유르눌러 나와 함께 똑같은 날을 계속해서 보내자? 똑같은 날을? 다시 내려놓을 수 없어? 안 돼. 못 버리나 봄. 큰일 났다.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
어떡해. 이거 뭐야? 월요일 실어인가? 엑스를 눌러 집에 가서 일하러 집에 가서 일하러 집에 가자. 미쳤나봐.
I'm having feelings for the bucket. No. What's
미친
going on?
이게 뭐야?
I want to be with the bucket.
아니 이게
It
뭐야?
has to say, do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes.
왜 내
The
침대
bucket tells me what to do
양동이가
in this troublesome situation.
너무 싫어. 아니야 저게 뭐야? 아니 양동이랑 러브라인 뭔데? 아무리 그래도 이거 아니 미친 이거 뭐지? 잠깐만. 양동이와 뜨밤. 아니 잠깐만 이거 원래 이런 게임이야? 아니 야.
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need
왜,
it.
왜
Give it to
그러세요?
me now. Give it.
눈을 감아. 예? 다시 일하러 가
정신 나간 건지
스탠리.
제가 정신 나간 건지 구분이 안 가요.
헐.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in?
양동이다.
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the
아니
meeting
잠깐만
room.
이러면
Stanley
똑같은데.
had felt the
아.
bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
이게 아닌가? 잠시만. 이거 미친 양동이 이거 약간 저기 너무 적응했어. 저거
All his
저거
coworkers
저거.
were gone. What could it mean?
어?
Stanley
아니
decided to go to
맞나?
the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed
그래.
a memo.
버려. 그냥 내 집을 혼자 가는 거야. 내
When Stanley
집을
came to a set of two open
혼자.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
여기 갈 거야.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years
아
ago.
이거 양동이 들고 오면 안 되는 거였나
Look,
보네.
Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
나 이제 정상 퇴근, 정상 출근할 수 있는 거지. 아, 가능한 거지
But the
이제.
fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to
만회할
redeem yourself,
기회입니다.
to put your work aside.
그녀를 되찾으라고? 그녀? 그녀?
She's been waiting.
그녀?
That's her,
전화 받아.
Stanley.
설마 또 양동이인 건가?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
뭐야 무서워.
Gotcha. Oh, come on.
나쁜
Did
놈.
you actually think you had a loving wife? You wanna
나쁜
commit
놈.
them
나의
to
순정을
you?
가지고
I'm
놀아.
trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
나의 순정을 갖고 놀아 이
This is a
쓰레기.
very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
나 죽었구나. 좋은 아침입니다. 직원 번호 427. 당신의 키보드에서 C를 누르세요.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
휴.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing
그럼
exactly
누르라는데
what
뭐
he's
어떡하라고,
told to
씨.
do. Now he's
이
pushing
이
a button.
아저씨가.
Now he's eating lunch.
이 아저씨가.
Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
다른 키는 안 되나? 와이만 되네.
In his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he
TV
imagined that one day
보여준다며.
at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
아이들과 시간을 보내시려면 U를 누르세요.
So
아이?
he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either.
나는
At
꿈을
last,
꾸고 있는
choice.
건가?
It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
저녁을 차리시려면 N을 누르세요.
As he wandered through this
Eh?
fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
왜요? 오이씨.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again,
키보드 다 눌러봐.
again, and again,
깜짝이야.
over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
나는 사랑한다고 말하려면 G를 누르세요.
But there is no
사랑해.
answer. How could there possibly be? In reality,
월요일
all he did was pushing the same
싫어.
buttons he always has.
너무나
Nothing has changed.
싫어.
The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
수면을 취하려면 Q를
And I'm
누르세요.
trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, Do not do it.
누르지 마세요? 왜요?
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll
Sorry.
understand that every second he remains
눌렀어.
here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose
Yeah.
I can't. Not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again.
죽어요?
Stanley pushed a button.
나 죽을래.
I tried again.
미친 이거
And
뭐야?
Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
나 죽었어. 뭐지? 잘못됐나? 아니 또 시작해?
All of his co-workers were gone.
이거 엔딩이 있는 건 맞아?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
뭐지?
When Stanley came to a set of two open
전화 안
doors, he
받으면
entered the
어떻게
door
돼요?
on his left.
전화
This
받지
was
마?
not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to
이거
admire it.
원래 이렇게 엔딩 이렇게 보고 그냥 끄는 게임임? 아니면 엔딩 있어요?
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door
나,
on his left.
나 이런 거 처음 해봐. 아,
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
다 엔딩이구나. 그럼 이렇게 엔딩 좀 보다가 끄는 거임 원래?
Investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
아,
There's someone you've been neglecting.
내가 그러면 혼자 뻘짓하고 있었네.
Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for
그러니까 여기 길도 많다.
This is it, Stanley.
아.
Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
그녀는 쭉 기다렸어. 전화 안
So,
받아.
Stanley, you need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly
전화 받지
place
않을게요.
your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
싫어. 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 받아야 되나봐. 무조건 받아야 하는구나. 이거는 다시 시작하고 잠시만. 그러면 방금 거기서 아래로 내려가는 루트만 한번 봐봅시다. 이게 엔딩이 여러 개여가지고 그냥 좀 대충 보고 끄는 거구나. 오, 난 내가 엔딩 못 보고 있는 줄 알았지.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay.
괜찮았어요.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago.
여기서 내려가면 엔딩이 또 있다는 건데 여기를 어떻게 내려가지? 근데? 잠시만, 여기 그냥 떨어지면 죽으려나? 여기는 괜찮나?
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
습. 뭐야?
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped.
청소하는데
Surely I was
힘들겠구만.
mistaken. When Stanley came to
와.
a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge
근데 아까
first,
양동이
just to
그거
admire it.
양동이 뜨밤은 진짜
It was
좀
okay.
무서웠어.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't
위에
5
길이
years ago.
있다고요? 위에? 어디? 이거 어떻게 가 그러면 위에? 어떻게 가지? 앞에 다리. 그니까 저기로 어떻게 감?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not.
타고
I
가는
realize
곳
that investing
중간.
your trust in someone else can be difficult,
중간?
but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you... What? Really?
아,
I was in the middle of something.
Ah.
Zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I
Oh,
want something
yes.
bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this,
Oh,
but I
yes.
really do want to help
이거군.
you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
빨간 방,
Now
파란
listen
방.
carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
난 파란색이 좋아.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood.
나는
Stanley walked through the red
나는
door.
파란색이 좋아.
I still don't think we're communicating properly.
난
Stanley walked through the red
나는
door.
파란색이 좋아.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were
미리
never supposed to be here
말하지.
in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into it? Because I did.
화났냐?
And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what, let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels
오,
leaps
세
ahead of where
번째
we were
선택지.
before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it from
와우.
I'm going to stop you.
당신의 경험에 대한 평가를 남겨주세요. 오,
Would you
5점
say that the
드릴게요.
game benefited from allowing you more choices?
안
Feel
눌러지는데?
free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
안 눌러져서 된다.
Aha!
5점.
You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I compiled
내
a
방식을
version.
토대로 새로운 버전을 만들어
Candid,
봤다는데?
I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
예? 뭡니까? 세계 경쟁표. 여기로 가는 거야? 가는 거 맞아 여기 계속?
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel
아,
motivated to
경쟁
keep
점수표
walking
안
through
봤는데
doors?
그거?
Again, honest answers, please.
안 봤어.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect.
Yes,
Let me
sir.
boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you
아,
fail. It's a very meaningful game.
정말
All
재밌는
about the
게임이다.
desperation and tedium of
정말
endlessly
재밌겠다.
confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
무서워 시끄러워. 잠깐만 나 너무 무서워 아저씨. 잠깐만 이거 너무 시끄러운데? 미안하다.
You heartless
난 냉혈
because you hate babies or purely to spite me.
미안하다. 어차피 가짜잖아. 저거 종이잖아, 종이.
Completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the
Okay.
experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Ah, fascinating. What do you think this game
완전
is
낭만
about?
있다 여기.
What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems
아니
that
이거
you know.
그러면
Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
이거 출시하면 안 되는 거 아니야? 따라 큐인데요 게임? 뭐야 이거 어떻게 내려가요? 그래픽 좋아.
No, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game.
Open
Good God,
world?
quickly block it off.
어,
Oh, thank goodness, Stan.
날 막았어.
You really wanted off into that
살려줘요.
thing, that big open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any. Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley.
숲에서
I'm
빠져나가자고?
going to get us out of here.
어떻게 나가?
Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice.
벽이 있는 건 너무
big,
쓸수
insurmountable
없는
walls.
커다란 벽이 있는 곳이 좋겠네요. 예?
Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
뭐야? 와! 아니
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what
축구장?
I had in mind.
뭐지?
Just a
뭐임
nice
여기?
big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this
아니
is
축구장은
game
아닌 거
design.
같네. 이거 있는 거
Stanley,
보니까.
if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
어라?
Okay, so what exactly do we do here?
네?
Let's see.
뭘 할 수
There are
있을까요?
lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack.
자동차?
Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together? Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
에? 뭐야 공이 나보다 큰데? 개빠르게 차버리기! 뭐, 혼자 뭔 재미로 해요. 근데 이거 골 넣으면 되는 거야?
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought. And I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a
와,
certain amount
골이다.
of adrenal pleasure, then
예.
surely multiple balls makes for an even more
갑자기
euphoric
공 여러 개
sports
떨어지는 거
experience.
아니겠지?
I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball.
진짜 공이 오네? 오 쉣.
Yes. Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing.
아니
doesn't it?
아저씨 혼자
Stanley,
하니까
I'm like a child in a
노잼임.
confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls.
어? 저건 아니 잠깐. 저거 넣어야겠다. 나는 개똥벌레 친구
you enjoying
다
You
오네.
having fun? Is this a real video game? Well, I sure hope you're having a good time because guess what? It's over.
이젠 끝났.
That's right.
네.
All little fun comes to an
네.
end. This is my game, and what I say goes. You get to have fun when I let you, Stanley. Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I am structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around.
나 버린다는데? 나 유기시킨다는데?
You'll enjoy it as much.
어라?
Who knows? You're an inventive kid. You'll come up with something. After all, you're the one who knows best. Take care, Stanley.
나 버린대? 선생님, 저 어떡해요? 길이 어디예요? 나 진짜 버린? 여기다 두고? 진짜? 진짜 나 버렸어? 근데 아까 빨라지는 거 재밌었는데 어떡하지?
키키는 여기 있어. 나레이터는 갈 거니까.
안돼, 말 잘 들을게요. 제가 지금까지 너무 말을 안 들었죠. 이거 폴가이 뭐야 떨어지네. 이거 폴가이즈에 있던 거잖아.
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
해야 할 일이 많은 뭐야? 아? 회사가 망했는데 갑자기 폐가 됐는데? 무섭다. 공겜, 약간 공겜 비주얼이야. 에이, 직진해. 불 켜져 있는 데다. 무섭게. 내 방이다. 이게 아닌가? 나 무서워.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes,
나 또 그러면 꿈을 꾼 거야?
Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be
이게
back.
끝나고 나서 모든 게 완료된다면 제가 돌아오도록 하겠습니다. 뭔데?
Very soon.
나 또 버려?
I can wait.
뭐지? 이렇게 엔딩인가? 오.
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new
이렇게
space he felt safe in, that he
엔딩이었나
would
봐요.
never leave it again
이렇게
in his
엔딩을
life.
많이 봐버렸으니까 이제 게임은 여기까지만 하도록 하겠습니다. 유바.